Yeah, so I think Warren is very different from us in the sense that very few people would have the intensity of pursuit of value that he would have. So, for example, when he was running very small amounts of capital, he used to go through the Moody's manual. And the Moody's manuals are not published anymore, but I went on eBay and I bought a couple of Moody's manuals just from the 50s. People were selling them. And just, for nostalgia, someday they might be worth something. And if you go through these Moody's manuals, they're very fine print. They would have maybe 4 or 5 companies on a page, and there are thousands of pages. Okay, so it had thousands of businesses. And he was doing a quantitative screen manually, you know, looking at one business at a time and looking at things that didn't make sense. Like sometimes he'd find a business that makes 25 million a year trading for $15 million, for example. Okay. Then he'd go and, look into what was going on with that company. So he was in deep dive mode. Cigar butts were perfectly fine for him. And he did exceptionally well. So I think that the 50% a year is definitely possible with small amounts of capital, following a Graham approach, but one needs to be very dogged about it. So Warren went through those Moody's manuals not once, he went through them at least a couple of times. And one time at a Berkshire meeting, I think maybe 20 years ago, someone asked him, Mr. Buffett, how can I look at all these stocks? There are thousands of stocks, tens of thousands of stocks. And his answer was start with the A's. And most people, and actually, it was actually a very correct answer. The thing is that Warren would not have a problem sitting down and going through 20,000 stocks one at a time. And he would be happy sitting there from 7 a.m. till midnight every day, spending, 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes on a stock and just keep going. And he could do that for months. So if you have a temperament like that, where you can just put all your attention into something like that, then it's going to happen. And there's a saying which was written maybe 3,000 years ago, maybe 100 years ago in the Upanishads, which are these more kind of philosophy books in India than spiritual. And it says that as is your wish, so is your will. As is your will, so is your deed. And as is your deed, so is your destiny. And then the punchline is your deepest desire is your destiny. So if you wanted to make 50% a year and you had $1 million and it was your deepest desire and you were willing to put in the work, it would happen. You just have to clone what Warren did, which is extreme patience with extreme ability to work hard and with extreme action when you find no-brainers. I think in his 50%, he would probably not have more than 3 stocks. And, Warren used to always say, even 15, 20 years ago, that 99% of his net worth was in Berkshire Hathaway. And he doesn't say that now because the 1% that he had outside Berkshire has actually grown significantly more than the compounding inside Berkshire. And the reason for that is that 1%, many times he had one stock. Okay, so he put the entire 1% in his highest conviction idea. And if you were going to do the 50%, you probably would not have more than 3 stocks. I mean, I couldn't do it, but if we were running, let's say, 20 or $30 million in capital, and I had told my investors we would concentrate very heavily, I'd try to get as large a position as I could in that Turkish company out of that. And then it would be meaningful, right? It might be a third of the capital or 1/4 of the capital. And 4% of NAV with 1/4 of your capital put to work, good things might happen to you.